everyone! Welcome to Lunch Hour Lessons with Allison. I'm Allison Mädl, and today is February 20th, 2019. Each week on Wednesdays at 12:30, I come to you live to introduce a topic related to nutrition and health that I think is interesting and give you a lesson to take with you into your daily life. If you like what you hear, be sure to comment or like this video. And every week I post a transcript on my blog at AllisonMädl.com. This week's topic is make the most out of your calcium. What is calcium? Calcium is a mineral that is the main component of our skeletal system. Many people, especially women, are advised to take calcium supplements to make sure they have strong bones and teeth and don't develop the weak and brittle bones like in osteoporosis or osteopenia. But that is only a tiny part of a fascinating concept, I think it's fascinating, that I'm going to share with you today. So usually I wait until the end, but I'm going to announce the lunch hour lesson right up front. And that is, almost everyone gets enough calcium in their diet, but they're lacking the cofactors needed to absorb it. Calcium is very easy to get in diet, mostly because it has really high concentrations in plant and in animal foods. But what's not well understood is that just eating calcium-rich foods doesn't mean that the body is going to actually absorb it well. How do we want calcium to be used? Well, we want it to build strong bones and teeth. But the second part of my lunch hour lesson says that we're often missing cofactors needed for the body to use the calcium for these purposes. Without the cofactors, a whole bunch of things can go wrong. What are cofactors? They are other components of our diets that work with calcium to be effective. Without them, the calcium really may simply just pass right out of our bodies undigested, or it can actually do more harm than good sometimes, which I'll go into in a little bit. There are many calcium cofactors, and I'll mention a few briefly, and then I'm going to focus on one in particular for this lesson. In Lunch Hour Lesson 9, I talked about how drugs that lower stomach acid have a side effect of causing more bone fractures. And that's because calcium needs a high acid environment in the stomach in order to be broken down and absorbed and used to strengthen our bones. So not having enough stomach acid or having enough stomach acid is going to be a calcium cofactor. Another cofactor is adequate hydration with a mineral-rich water and also just general mineral-rich foods in our diet. That's another cofactor. But now I'd like to go into more detail about one important cofactor called vitamin K2. Some of you may be familiar with the work of a dentist named Dr. Weston A. Price. And in the 1930s, when his book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, was published, he described a nutrient that he found really important for good dental health. And it increased the activity of the other fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, and E, and it made the teeth more resistant to decay. But he didn't know what it was, so in his writings, he called this mystery nutrient Activator X. And only since 2007 has it now been fully understood that Activator X is actually vitamin K2. And we're learning that it plays a huge role in not just dental health, but also cardiovascular health, brain health, proper fetal development, and kidney health, among others. So before I continue, I do want to acknowledge that there's two forms of vitamin K, vitamin K1 and vitamin K2. Vitamin K1 activates proteins required for blood clotting, and K1 is found in leafy greens like spinach, and it's much more widely studied because of the development of blood thinning medications like warfarin. But this form of vitamin K is not the calcium cofactor that we're going to talk about. Vitamin K2 is what activates proteins that are required for calcium binding to bones, and it works alongside vitamins A and D to support their functions. This is the one that we're emphasizing today as the calcium cofactor. So what does vitamin K do? Well, it effectively tells the body to put calcium into the bones, teeth, and cartilage. And I believe that vitamin K2 deficiency is going to be one of the major research studies in the coming years because we're already coming to understand that calcium intake without enough vitamin K2 can lead to the calcium being deposited where we don't want it. Things like calcification of the arteries, for example, gallstones, kidney stones, calcifications around joints, bone spurs, and even calcification in the brain and skin are significant concerns right now. Without enough vitamin K2 in our diets, we also may have a lack of calcium to go where we want it. like in the bones and in the teeth. So most people, unfortunately, do lack adequate K2 in their diets because consumption, for a few reasons, consumption of trans fats does block K2 absorption, and the foods that are the highest in vitamin K2 are not widely consumed in the standard American diet. So rather than recommending dosing for supplements, even though supplements may be one of the easiest ways to ingest K2, in this lesson, I wanted to encourage you to focus on food. And some of the food sources with the highest levels of vitamin K2 in order are emu oil. I know, the emu, it looks like an ostrich. So the oil from the emu, goose liver, egg yolks, butter, chicken liver, hard and soft cheeses. That's kind of on the lower end of the spectrum, but things like brie and blue cheese are also sources of vitamin K2, full-fat kefir and yogurt, and sauerkraut, actually. So all of those foods, like I said, are not very common in our diet, but I'd encourage you to try to eat more of them. This list will be on the transcript that's on my blog, AllisonMädl.com, so you can look up what those foods are. And I would say that since these foods really aren't emphasized that much in our diets, just try to eat more of them. So egg yolks would be a great thing to include in your daily diet. Same thing with liver once a week, or butter to cook your vegetables. It really is going to go a long way to helping the calcium go where it needs to go. So that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tell a friend this week's lunch hour lesson, which is almost everyone gets enough calcium in their diet, but they're lacking the cofactors needed to absorb it. Again, almost everyone gets enough calcium in their diet, but they're lacking the cofactors needed to absorb it. I'll see you next week. Bye for now.